Hello, happy Democracy Day. My name is Rudolf Okonkwo. Nigerians are marking Democracy Day today, but the country itself is at a final crossroad. It is the poverty capital of the world and just landed at number 15 on the list of failed countries in the globe. My guest today is the most admired Abuja politician from the eastern part of Nigeria. His admirers call him Ofonye Anansi Onabiago. He served as deputy governor in Abia State to Ojizokalo from 1999 to 2003. He was elected to the Nigerian Senate in 2007 from the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. He represents Abia South Senatorial District in the Nigerian Senate. He's also the minority leader in the Senate. More than a dozen people insisted that I introduce him only this way, and I quote, "There are two senators representing Igbo people in the Nigerian Senate, Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe and others. It is my honor to have as my special guest on this special day, Senator Abaribe. Senator, welcome to Irokopost TV.
Thank you very much, Rudolf. But Biko, let me say this. Two things. The first one about only two senators. It's not true. We have 14 senators. We lost one, and we're waiting for the elections to feel that people represent different constituencies and different. And the reason why people hear me more is by virtue of my position as a minority leader, and therefore I'm in the front line, and therefore that is what I'm expected to do. The second one is about happy democracy, and therefore some people have simply cashed in on people's struggles and people's efforts to bring democracy to Nigeria when they are actually totally undemocratic. And when you tell me happy democracy, I don't feel that today is something we should celebrate. This is a very solemn day that is being desecrated by those who have taken it over.
Yeah, we'll get
for propaganda purposes.
We'll get to that, including the speech of the president this morning. But let me say this: in the little time that we have, I will try to squeeze in as many questions as possible. I called for questions from the social media, and people who follow me on social media, they sent in over 200. They range from Fulani-herdsmen attack on communities in the south, the influx of northern youths to the south. There are questions about Biafra, referendum, and Nnamdi Kanu. Now, people are interested in knowing what you think about Igbo presidency, the state of Abia roads, and erosion in eastern Nigeria. But that's a performance of governors in the east, especially Abia State governor. There are questions about the federal government loans and projects distribution across Nigeria. And the Senate has a rubber stamp of the executive arm of government. So we try to get to as many questions as possible. The number one worry of the people in your constituency today is the attack of Fulani-herdsmen across most of southern Nigeria and the influx of young men from the north to the south. Some think there is an impending war. Will you be able to say to people in your constituency that there is nothing to worry about?
No, I would say that. In fact, there's a lot to worry about. And I can tell you that we had meetings upon meetings. We met as Ohaneze, we met the governors, we set up a security committee headed by, I think it was Admiral from Anambra, and with Onovo and others, and who were former military people, and they were supposed to bring a report to us. And then we had a second meeting, and it was during that meeting that, of course, we didn't understand each other very well. And then the governor said they needed to hear from the Inspector General of Police, and there was a meeting in Enugu. I wasn't in that meeting, unfortunately, because I was tied up in Abuja, and I couldn't go. But what I heard was that, you know, there were just some disparate things being said by our different groups. And right now, what we actually need is for everybody to come together and have one response. The Southwest had one response and set up a Moteku, and we were waiting for our governors to also do that. Because I tell you one thing, it's very easy for us to say, oh, okay, let everybody come together, let's do what we need to do in our areas. But the point is that some people have been elected and they have the instruments office to, you know, pull everything together. And that is what we are waiting for. Governor Mai has promised us as chairman that they are, you know, something is in the works and that they will unveil it very soon. But then we continue to see this influx. And of course, in the midst of all the meetings we were holding and everything we were planning, the pandemic came and there was a lockdown. Now, we got a shock that during the lockdown, there was movement of all these people. Some people call them Almajiris, but Almajiris are below 10 years old. Okay. So these were grown-up people. These were not youth. These were not Almajiris. And so we were very concerned and we were very worried. And different Igbo groups, you know, they were contacting me, and I had to also contact the chairman of Governors Forum, who told me that there was something in the works. Now, my personal feeling is that there are two groups of persons coming from the north to the south, and of course, some of them to the southeast. Some are economic migrants. That is those who have lost everything and don't have anything again, and then they are drifting to the south because they think that there are prospects of a little making a living over here. There had been this type of movements before during the farming season. You will notice that during the farming season, we have people come and work in our farms, and then after the farming season, they go back. That group is there, but there are these other ones that we just see coming, who come to be Okada riders, gatemen, shoe shiners, and all that. And that is that group that everybody is worried about, because some of them are coming from outside Nigeria. They don't speak regular Hausa. They don't speak English. They don't speak Pidgin. Some of them just speak French. Some speak some other languages. And those are the ones that we are very, very bothered about, because we think that these people may just be people who are coming as sleeper cells and can be activated anytime. So right now, the ADF and so many Igbo groups, everybody is bothered and everybody is worried and everybody is just saying, what do we do? My take on this is that we voted in people to man the states. They have the resources, they have the instruments of power, and they can, like I was saying, the structure of our police and our military formations and other paramilitary organizations is such that a governor of a state is incapable of giving direct orders to them without their referring back to their bosses in Abuja. Employ the instruments of coercion in his state is what is leading us to these problems. So now in the Southwest, what they did was to create the Amoteku for themselves and use it to now, which is what we had in the different states in the Southeast. You had Bakassi in Abia and Anambra at the time. Then now you have forest guards in Enugu. I think you have another one. So what we told them is, why don't you bring all these different units together? why don't you get all the state houses of assembly to pass the same type of law so that everybody works to one purpose, which is the defense of our homeland. And that is where we are now. We are having this ongoing conversation about it.
Mm. Now, for people who are watching and they are still worried, they will be thinking, why will it take so long for the governors in the East to take action? And if they fail to take action, what can they do? That's the question that I'm getting. What can they do themselves? Do we want them to take actions themselves?
Well, what we don't want is a situation where you take your own personal action and it is tagged something else. And therefore, that's why we continue to want to use the governors, because they are the people who have the responsibility to secure lives and property within their different states and within the Southeast zone as a whole. What we have suggested, and ADF and some other groups have also suggested, is for us to set up our own homegrown network of security. But we think that the type of stigmatization that they did to IPOB and all that will also apply if we don't go through the formal network that the governors will have to institute. It will be seen as something else. And then, of course, when you now have a clash between the police and the army, of course, we know what follows. Everything that happens in the Southeast is regarded as a different thing. And we do really want to solve a problem, not to create another problem while we're solving it.
Mm. And now I wanted to ask you, why should everything that happens in the Southeast be seen as something different?
Well, I have tried to answer this question before. Let me just repeat it. The civil war has not ended in some people's minds in Nigeria. Just to put it succinctly.
Okay, all right.
And the government in power today seems to have that mindset that whatever they do, that they're doing, how do you call it now? They're doing saraka for you. They are just, it's not right. We're just giving you, you don't even deserve it. Something like that.
That's a good segue to the next question I have, because you might say this way and it's something that you are dealing with. But for young people from the Southeast, it's not a funny thing to them. It's not something they have the patience to deal with. It's making them angry. The people in government, or the people at the federal government, or the people, your colleagues in the Senate, do they understand that some of these things are not funny to the people, the young ones in the Southeast? So like what you said now, the fact that the Yorubas could set up their own security network, and if the Igbo people do something, it might be read to be something else. There are so many instances, we are going to get to that. But how do your colleagues in the Senate, how do they see their instances? For instance, let me give another example that I hope we are going to discuss in details. Something like when they announced that they are going to do some projects, borrow some money for some projects, and then young people in the East will see the list of projects, and they don't see anything in the Southeast. When they do that kind of presentation, are they not concerned that people will not feel happy about that?
Well, let me put it this way. It also has to do with the mindset of those who you find in the corridors of power. And it's a mindset that does not have to deal with the fact that some people elected you into office. And I'm sorry to say, in the North, there's a feudalistic mindset in which you have people up there and the rest of the people on the ground, and whatever they do for them, they are just doing them a favor. And so when they extend it to the rest of us in the South, and see our reaction. They cannot understand it. They don't understand why we think. They don't understand that now. In the Igbo parlance, we are Republican in nature and do not deal with this humbug of having some upper class and then a lower class. It's a fundamental thing which will take a long time to
resolve.
To resolve in our system. I deal with them. I talk with them, and sometimes also they seem to understand, and will tell you, well, I don't understand what is going on. For example, a couple of days ago, there was a big protest in Katsina State, and that protest in Katsina State was against the fact that nothing was being done in their own minds against the incessant killings that were going on there by bandits. And they were burning President Buhari's, billboards, really.
Yeah.
And I asked the Katsina senator, I said, what's going on? He said, no, that the president has sent military, did all that, and then nothing is happening, and so everybody's angry that even himself is not happy. So how can anybody come and do campaigns around there and all that? So you could see that in their mind, I'm talking about my colleagues from the North, the buck does not stop on the table of the president. There's every effort to absolve the president of responsibility and then, shift it somewhere else. So that's why when you see that I stand on the floor and I say the president is responsible, they get very infuriated because there is this culture, Baba is there, and therefore, I think the late Ghanaian Fahim used to call it a Kabiesi culture. There's that culture that the man is not wrong. It must be us, or the rest of us, or those who are given responsibilities who are incapable. But of course, for each one of us, we know that if you're in charge, you're in charge. If you appoint somebody, you're taking responsibility for that person too. If the person is not doing the good job, then you remove him. And so there's this inability to do something. So what I'm saying really, in effect, is that and the Nsobu is that our people, of course, there are two classes of us, which you've just mentioned. They are the younger ones who didn't get affected by the Civil War, who didn't have to go through the eyebrow, and they are looking at it and they're saying, why should there be two classes of Nigerians? Why should one come from the North and one come from the South? And the person from the North is given,
privileges.
Giving some privileges which the one from the South doesn't get. I'm not talking about all the South too, because if you're a big man in the South, of course, and you're hobnobbing with your people up there in the North, you can get things that, but on the average, what the Igbo man wants is to have a level playing field. I've always looked at it and I've always talked about it, and then let every man prosper according to the skills and abilities that the person has, So the younger people find it difficult to accept this. And of course, with the influx of communication technology and the fact that you can, make your voice known on your own without having to go through some formal structures, it makes their being able to voice out their complaints so much easier.
Mm. Now, before we leave this topic, let me ask you this. There are some people, young people, and even old people, who look at what's going on, and not this way, the way you describe them, and look at the people they elected or were elected in the East to take care of these things, and they don't feel confident that they can handle it, and they are looking for avenues to do something. What will you say to them if they come to you now and say, "I want to do something. What can I do to help?" What can they do?
I'll tell them to get involved in the political process. The other process of doing, armed struggle and all that is no longer in vogue. And what we find really is that even these young people who are also agitating and also, also not involved in the political process. So they can't even elect people that they want. If you don't get involved, how are you going to be able to change the people? I mean, assuming they don't like me, assuming they say, oh, Abaribe, you're not doing what you need to do, you should be able to vote me out. I'm bringing that person.
But they will say to you, they will say to you, I know we'll get to that later. They will say to you, look at what happened in Imo State, where Imo people elected somebody else, and the Supreme Court says, oh no, we're going to get the person that is that got the fourth position and make him the governor. What would that do to give them confidence that if they get involved in the political process, that their mandate will be respected?
Yeah, aberrations happen, like what happened in Imo. We went on protests. We had to go protest to the Supreme Court, protest everywhere. Made sure that we were on the streets every day in Abuja because there were 3 other judgments coming. And we had gotten from the grapevine that those other 3 judgments were also going to go the same way. And so because we now made it, and then everybody was outpoured their, angst about what was happening. And that made Sokoto, Bauchi, and all those ones, the people who were voted survived. The point really is that getting involved, it's not just the voting and all that. It's also getting involved and coming out and saying what needs to be said. I know that it's a difficulty. It's getting involved, demands sacrifice. Let me just put it that way. And sometimes it's easier to do it from the cozy room of your, in front of your laptop than to be on the streets and march. You understand?
Well, they can say that when they go on the street to march, they kill them. So
then they kill them and all that, yes. But then, and you just have to continue to, do what you need to do in terms of agitation. Because if you don't, ultimately, the bad people will continue to do the wrong things. That's just it.
Let's move to other things. Igbo people today, you can actually divide them into 3. There are those who believe in Biafra and they want referendum now, and those who want to restructure Nigeria and throw away the 1999 constitution. Then there are those who are fighting for Igbo presidency in 2023. Where do you belong?
I belong to all 3. let me put it this way. First, Igbo presidency. I can say clearly that a political party nominates a candidate. And so when you need to get the type of person you want, you need to work within that political party. That is one. So if you're not a member of a political party and you're not an executive, you're not part of the party, you're not part of anything that is happening within the party, you can't sit down and expect that they're going to, you understand, on the basis of morality. Of course, there are some people who have made this argument on the Igbo presidency, say, oh, that when Abiola died, oh, that at the end of the day, that they gave it to Basanjo and Falaye and all, therefore we need to, but the situations are different. What happened during that time was that even the economic capital of Nigeria, which was Lagos, was strangulated, and it was obvious to everybody that they needed to do something, and the people never relented. In their press, in everything, they continue to show that. We don't even have the power of the press like they had. And so, assuming that political parties will willy-nilly give it to you just because you're shouting doesn't work that way. And so, as much as I've sat down with Law Mefor and all those people who are talking about Igbo president, I've told them one thing. I would like to be president. You understand? I would like to be able to, run this country in the best way that I think that I should run. But of course, I belong to PDP, which means that within PDP, I have to fight for PDP to be able to get an Igbo man who will be able to get every other person within the party or a majority of people within the party to trust him enough to give him the ticket. Because when we do everything at the end of the day, you need to be able to win the different constituencies that will give you that. If you remember, in the United States, they were doing something and it was Bernie Sanders all the way, until somehow they just turned around and, oh, now it is Biden and it's coming in there. So somebody needs to be able to be within the area and fight for that. So that's about Igbo prayer. About those who talk about Biafra, who talk about referendum. Let me start with referendum. Unfortunately, we run a 1999 constitution, which has been amended severally, that does not have a referendum provision, which means that if you need a referendum, you have to go outside of that constitution, which is why some people are now talking about jettisoning the 1999 Constitution. But for you to jettison the 1999 Constitution, what it also means is that you will have to have a meeting of all the different groups in Nigeria agreeing that they're going to put or set that aside and then do some kind of constitutional conference and all that, which when you are within a milieu that we have now, where some people are already in office and they're going ahead, they're going to ignore it and say it's not within the Constitution. You understand? And of course, there are some people who now want outrightly let us go. I think the last time we were in Lagos at the 50th anniversary of the Civil War, I think Onyeka Owenu put it very succinctly. She said that day, if they don't want us, let them leave us to go, But of course, that this is a country and, there has to be a critical thing that happens to be able to force that type of accommodation. That is for people to say, okay, go your way and all that. Another problem we're having within the Biafra movement is also the fact that, of course, there are different groups. I just read the other day when I think it was Wazirike that said he's collapsing his own now, and then they are recognizing, of course, between Wazirike and Uche Mado, we didn't even know who is in charge in the Masop business. And of course, Uche Mado was already working with Nnamdi Kanu. And so everybody need to come together. And of course, the LNC is on the other side saying, no, let us dissolve this whole thing and have 5 regions coming out of Nigeria and so on and so forth. So with different disparate, I would say, feelings or disparate groups all going their different ways. All they do is to dissipate energy because there has to be focused energy for us to get to a particular position. I think, and I made this point in Mississippi, that I think that while looking for getting out of Nigeria, we should also, at this time, use the resources that we have to be able to make our homeland a better place for us. Because if we are not doing anything with the resources we already have, what is the guarantee that going into a Biafra will give us a better frame of mind to be able to
well, this is what the people, young people listening to you would say. They will say, okay, use our resources well, but you also said before that the structure of the country is not making it possible for governors, for instance, to do the things they needed to do. You also know that we have imposition of governors sometimes in the eastern part of the country, and when you have people imposed from Abuja, it's difficult for local people to actually force them to do some of the things that are needed. So how do you navigate that? How do you say to the young people, we need to find a way to use the resources we have and do what we can do at this point when they know these obstacles?
Yeah, well, let me put it this way. When I said that the structure of the country makes it a little difficult for you, I wasn't talking about the economic resources that are available to I'm talking about the instruments of coercion, police, and all that things. Now, if you talk about the economic resources of a state, I believe that if well managed, it will much better things will be done. I'm telling you, and that's a fact. Every month, every state goes to Abuja. I don't agree with that. I think it's wrong for them to actually every time go to Abuja to share money. I think a federation should be run in such a way that you keep your resources, you pay the share that goes that way around, not the federal government to get all the resources. That is my own idea. But every month, every state collects money from there, comes back, and disburses as they deem fit. Also, the states get their own internally generated revenue. The state do all their own stuff, and none of them is controlled by the federal government in any way. But yesterday, the EFCC said that, that they were returning monies found with Governor Rocha Sokorocha to the state to the tune of 5.7 billion, and that some were still left, and that they were still in court trying to get the forfeiture order on that. I mean, think about it. 5.7 billion being returned. And so, a governor working for his people, why should you have that kind of, humongous amount found in your distance? So we also have to take responsibility. You understand me? We have to take responsibility. The government in Rivers State has been having a running battle with the federal government, and they have been fighting and all that, and saying everything, and say, they are going to remove him. But he's getting resources. He's using it for the state. He's building stuff. You understand? And what I say is this. Yes, people might be imposed from outside, but if you give them enough heat, they will work for you. Ngige was imposed from outside, and he did so much work because he got too much heat. I think what's going on is that people are very complacent and just saying, because they don't buy into the governance that it affects them. You understand? And because they don't, they really, people take them for granted. Let me just put it, that way, because I'm also somebody that can be accused of being part of it.
Let's finish up on the Biafran thing. On social media, you see what they call a referendum question going on that asking people about what will you do today if you had to vote, whether Biafra, Igbo people or Biafra will leave Nigeria. And I don't know if you've seen that, it will pop up on your social media. If you should see something like that, what will be how will you vote? Will you vote for?
I think that hypothetically, if such a thing is, but I will vote for us to actually be on our own. I think that we're being dragged down actually by all the different things that weigh Nigeria down. That's why I'm saying, in effect, that if you sit in your state and do well and create the necessary conditions within your state, what you will do is to attract people to come, not for people to run away from our place. A lot of our businessmen, a lot of our destiny, if you check, they are not in Igbo land. It's just the pocket in Aba and Newi. I'm talking about those who manufacture, not those who do importations and sell. And the reason is simple, that the conditions are not created that make it very easy for our businessmen to thrive inside the Igbo homeland. And therefore, they find it easier to invest outside of Igbo land. Now, that is just a fact. Go ahead.
Okay, let me ask you about Nnamdi Kanu. He said one time that he loves you and that nobody will beat you up like Ike Kweremadu. What's your relationship with Nnamdi Kanu? When was the last time you were in touch with him,
brother? Just before they were attacked, and then, he had to run away. I had invited him. I sat down with him in the house. I told him our fears, and I told him to make haste slowly. And we also gave an interview that day. That was about the last time I spoke to him. I spoke to him just, I think, the day before they attacked their house, because he was telling me, he called me to say, this is what is going on, and that was why we were a little bothered, because we didn't know and I didn't have any information on what was happening. And so when the DSS arrested me and they said they wanted to know where he was and all that, I said, no, you people are the people who we should ask where he is. And then you have the responsibility because you were the people that saw him last. Of course, if he surfaced, he surfaced outside after a while, but I will say that if I need to reach him, I have those that I will talk to and they will talk to him. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. You are frozen, but I can.
Okay, you're back online now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I know that you, when you got the bell, you were shorty, and the government were saying that you should bring him back and all those. But I want to know the situation now with your. Did you give up your assets? Did you recover? Did they give you back your assets? What's the situation with that lawsuit?
No, the situation with the lawsuit is that the lawsuit is still on. What happened was that by the time we were in court the last time, we had appealed a ruling of the judge, and that appeal is subsisting because the judge had varied the terms of the bail by saying that we should now bring cash instead of property, which we pledged, and we now appeal that.
Okay, once again, we're frozen and we'll wait for the internet to help us. This is part of Nigeria's Democracy Day. while the president made a speech about how good things are, you can see that we're having basic problems connecting. Not that it doesn't happen in other parts of the world, but the frequency that we see things like this in Nigeria makes you wonder where the accomplishments and achievements that we hear about, if basic technology is difficult still for us. All right, it's been interesting conversation with Senator Abaribe. We will come back with more questions and more answers from him. Thank you so much for watching this part 1.
Hi, if you live in the US, UK, Canada, Italy, Ireland, or Spain, and you send money to Nigeria, to Ghana, to Kenya, to Tanzania, or Uganda, you should download SendWave on your phone. SendWave is safe, secure, reliable, fast, and more importantly, it is fee-free, absolutely no fees. For your first transaction, use the promo code DOCTOR and SendWave will add $5 or €5 or £5 to the money you send. Dash! Just because you know Dr. Damages. What are you waiting for? Here is how to do it.